Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Budget Finance Economic Development Committee, and it is now 9:04 a.m. Today is December the 2nd. Wow, so fast this year has gone by. So we're ready. Today we have two items on our agenda, and both of them are 7B presentations, so no decisions, but a lot of information that I think is important for us in terms of cash flow. So I'd like to welcome all of you. This meeting is being conducted online. And if you're not in the chambers, when your name is called, please do let us know who is with you. And minors do not need to be identified. So, good morning, Member Cook.
Good morning, Chair. I am having trouble getting online, but I will be, so I'm halfway here.
Okay. Member Johnson, I see you are online.
Good morning, Chair, Council members, community members. There's no testifiers here at the Lanai District Office, and I'm alone on my side of the office.
Okay, very good. And your mother is not with you? She's working in your, in your farm.
She went to the farm, and I'm here.
Chair Lee, good morning.
Good morning. I'm home alone, except with my 12-week-old kitty who's climbing all over everything. But other than that, I'm ready to go. Thank you.
Right. Good morning. Member Paulton.
Aloha kakayaka kako.
Aloha. And Member Rollins Fernandez will be joining us about 9:30, and then she has a blessing or something to go to, and she's on Molokai, so she'll be joining us. Member Sinensi, good morning.
Aloha, Chair, and Ohio gozaimasu. I'm here at my home office. I do have one adult male. My nephew, Keola, is visiting. But yeah, thank you. Right. No testifiers in Hana.
Okay, Ohio gozaimasu.
Ohio.
Ohio. Member Cook, you're on, so good. Thank you very much. Member U Hodges is joining us, so she'll be joining us soon. From the Office of the Mayor regarding the OED grants, the second item on the agenda is Cynthia Lalo, Chief of Staff, Jade Rojas Latisi, Economic Development Director, Carrie DeCoit, Grants Manager, Management. Wait, let me see if they changed their lineup. Oh, no, she is. Carrie DeCoit, Grants Management Program Specialist, 4, and Julianne Ugalino, Grant Coordinator, Marcy Martin and Leslie Milner, virtually. So at this time then, wait, I'm sorry. This is the second item on the agenda. Let's try this again. And then from the Department of Management, we do not have Josiah Nishita. I think that's been changed to John Smith, as well as Meredith Sanders, who's from Tetra Tech. Just the two of you, okay. Not Helene Kao. Helene Kao is gonna come down. Oh, if you need her, okay. Department of Finance, Marcy Martin. Director, Maria Zielinski, Deputy Director. Department of Fire and Public Safety, Brad Ventura. Fire Chief is joining us virtually. We're gonna contact him when we need him because he is in between two meetings. Department of Police, we have Chief Peltier and/or Deputy Chief Wade Maeda. Emergency Management is Amos Lono Kailua Hewitt, Emergency Management Administrator. Corporation Counsel, Christy Wigglesworth, as well as Christy Toshikio, I guess is online is what I'm told. Committee Staff, Leigh Deneen, Council Services Assistant Clerk. Peter Hanano, Legislative Attorney. Kirsten Zabo, Legislative Analyst, James Kruger, Senior Legislative Analyst, Pauline Martin, Senior Committee Secretary. And please see the last page of the agenda for information on meeting connectivity. Thank you, members, for attending today's BFED committee meeting. We have two items on the agenda, and those two items are BFED 20, Federal Disaster Grant Reimbursements, and BFED 2012, Administration and Management of Grants, and looking at the Office of Economic Development. So do we have any testifiers?
Chair, we currently don't have anyone signed up to testify at the beginning of the meeting.
Okay.
So we'll do a last call. If there is anyone who'd like to, oh,
Okay,
Chair, there's an
we see
individual in
some-
the gallery.
Okay, we see running to the podium. So I think you know our
Yes.
testimony instructions, so please
Respect.
say your name and,
JC Law.
and you
Ohio.
have 3 minutes for the 2 items on the agenda. Is that what you're going to be talking about?
Yeah, probably the first one. I think the administration can handle the management part.
Go ahead.
Aloha ka'aha o ke kalana o Maui and luna ho'omolu yukile kashiwa sugimura. Thank you for doing this important work for the county. Na uku vina kala po ulia e hoi ia. Federal Disaster Grant Reimbursements. When I see federal, then I think of the United States, and then I think of Queen Liliuokalani and the Kingdom of Hawaii. And I understand we appreciate the money that's being distributed to us from the Federal Reserve and the citizens of the United States. And I'm not sure if we caught up on the Lahaina fire yet. That was a pretty big disaster. And my question is, for clarity, is would it be against the rules to get kala money from other countries like China, Japan, Russia, or even maybe Venezuela? Thank you for your time, and I reserve the rest of my minutes for the Hawaiians.
Anyone have questions for the testifier? See none. Next testifier, oh, before we do that, I wanna welcome, oh no, I thought Member Rollins Fernandez is here, she's not. Okay, all right, next testifier.
Chair, there's currently no one else signed up to testify at the beginning of the meeting, so we'll proceed with last call. If there is anyone who'd like to testify at the beginning of the meeting, please identify yourself now. On Teams, you can do that by using the raise hand function. We'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Chair, there's no one else to testify at the beginning of the meeting.
Thank you. So with your permission, I'm going to close this portion of testimony at the beginning of the meeting, and we'll receive written. Thank you. All right, so we have 2 items on the agenda, BFED 2017, which is Federal Disaster Grant Reimbursements. And we purposely left the title, initially we were thinking of saying FEMA, but we made it tighter. Hello. Oh, Ms. Rollins Fernandez is here. Member Rollins Fernandez has just joined us, so we'll wait till you get settled and then you can say hello to you. But we purposely have this title to be broad so that we can talk about FEMA, but we can also talk about the other federal monies that we've received for various projects. So the first item is Rule 7B, discussion on federal grants and reimbursements for disaster-related expenses, as well as recovery cash flow, which is a part that I'm very interested in. My intent today is for the committee to review the status of prior reimbursement requests, outstanding reimbursement claims, and any future requests under federal disaster recovery grants. We will also look at other timing of these reimbursements and as it affects the county's cash flow, including our ability to keep recovery projects moving while we wait for recovery payments. Member Rollins Fernandez, are we ready to say good morning?
Aloha kakahiaka chair. Aloha kakahiaka kakoe. Kalamai for my tardiness. Happy to be here in person. Oh, I'm planning to leave a little early for the blessing at Kibani Way.
Okay, great.
Okay, mahalo.
Okay, great. And Nohe is also here. Welcome, Member U Hodgins.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Okay, so joining us today, thank you very much for John Smith, Office of Recovery Administrator. And we have sitting next to him is Meredith Sanders from Tetra Tech, who I believe you're in charge of or have been the expert for recovery of cash, right, for this process. Helene Kao is in the chambers in the audience in case we need her assistance. Do we also have Lyle Kobashigawa? Not today. Is Amos going to be here? Oh, okay. Okay, somebody then from Emergency Management will be here. Also online will be Chief Brad Ventura. He is in between two meetings, so when it's his time to speak, we'll call him. Maria Zielinski, Deputy Director of Finance, virtually, and Leslie Milner, also Budget Director. So from the Police Department, Department of Police, we have with us Wade Maeda. And no, we not have Wade Maeda. We have Deputy Chief Okamoto will be joining us. So is he online? Yeah, okay. All right. So at this time then, can we have any opening comments? And then we'll ask for a testimony after in case.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, council members. Thank you for having us. I'm sorry that Josiah wasn't able to make it this morning. He's traveling. Like you said, I have Meredith here with me, and just generally, Tetra Tech, our consultant here, is the one who's been helping us with reimbursement from FEMA. So after the disaster, there were 12 different departments that submitted for reimbursement for public assistance. So that's that one program, and that's who we brought as a technical resource today. I'm happy to talk about, like, if you want to talk about the CDBG stuff too, we can, since you made it a little bit broader. But that's what we're prepared to go into the details of this morning. But we have about 12 departments that have submitted for reimbursement to FEMA for public assistance, and that process is long and arduous with FEMA, but we're happy to jump into those details for every one of those projects, or as much detail as you want to today. We're ready for that. Thank you.
Oh, very good. Because there's a lot of money involved, and I'm concerned for this committee about making sure, because this is not like they sent us $1.6 billion and it hit our checking account. It is an allocation of funds that we have access to. So I just wanted to basically get a feel for where we are.
Okay.
And members, did we submit their response to the members have this? Okay, uploaded in Granicus under this item, letter dated November 7th, and it came from Department of Finance, and it is about all the different federal grants that are out there, and it has a listing by federal name, event name, federal disaster number, incident start date, incident end date, and federal declaration date. So this information is available online. And what number in Granicus is it, please? 2? Okay. All right, item number 2, yeah, all right. So members, item number 2, and for the public, it is item number 2. Would you like to take it away, Director?
Sure, I'll turn it over to Meredith to give an overview of where we are with the FEMA grants. But just for clarity, the 1.6 billion from CDBG, that's a HUD program. That program does not work at all like the FEMA reimbursement program. So the HUD monies are there, and we can access them within a couple days. So we do the work, we submit, and then they reimburse right away. The FEMA PA, or the public assistance work, that is a much longer process. So that's what we're here to talk about today. So I'll turn it over to Meredith just to give an overview of where all of those projects are that were directly related to the wildfire.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. So as John said, this is a reimbursement program, and it has multiple stages throughout the process. The first one is obligation by FEMA. And to be clear, we submit a project, all of the costs incurred. FEMA agrees that this is something eligible under the grant and deems the project is eligible and obligated. From there, it goes to HIEMA. HIEMA does an additional audit, a very detailed, deep dive audit. They look at every invoice, every piece, every penny on each of these expenditures. And so it does take a long time to walk through all of those levels of that reimbursement process. So where we are for all the costs incurred to date, that we know that the project is complete, we've got over 40 million obligated by FEMA. We expect another 36 million obligated within the next year. A lot of those additional millions will be for the larger rebuild projects. And those, because this is a reimbursement project or process for these projects, expect that will take a very long time and multiple years before we see those funds come back to the county, as they have to be expended and reviewed before you're reimbursed. Now, for all of those previous costs incurred, that is what we currently work with HIEMA on. Both HIEMA and the county have dedicated additional resources now that we're in that stage to move these reimbursements forward. However, because it is a very detailed process, we're doing everything we can with HIEMA to try to move these faster within the boundaries of federal law. Any additional questions?
So we'll do questions after.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. Is there anybody else that you would like to present, Director?
Not at this time. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. So are there any other testifiers? We'll open it up for public testimony.
Chair, there's currently no one signed up to testify on item BFED 2017, so we'll do a last call. If there's anyone who'd like to testify on this item, please identify yourself now. On Teams, you can do that by using the raise hand function. We'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Chair, there's no one else to testify on this item.
Thank you. So at this time, I'm going to close public testimony and receive written testimony on this item. And so members, we can ask questions of the resources, and the letter dated November 7th, which is number 2 in Granicus. I wonder if you would like to explain that letter to the members, and especially talk about the ones that we are still waiting for reimbursements. Do you want a copy of the letter, Director? You have it? Okay.
Do not have it.
You didn't bring it? Oh, thank you.
So, Chair, thank you. Sorry, I hadn't seen this one before right now, but this letter details all of the, and I may ask Finance to weigh in on this. This is all of the federally declared disasters for this past several years. So all those DR numbers are the different disasters, and it's just outlining where we are with those. So we're here to talk very specifically about the wildfire, and I think that's the bigger one out of all of these. But we may need to pull in Finance or maybe Leslie from Budget to talk more in detail about the previous disasters.
Okay, so from this letter, then, can I ask you, so on page 2, which is in question number 2, the Hawaii severe storms, flooding, and landslides, in that category in the spreadsheet, and under that, it has Hawaii wildfire. So would you only be referencing then the Hawaii wildfire one, and none of the others would be relevant? Is that what you're saying?
that's what we're prepared to talk about today is the Hawaii wildfires group.
Okay.
And most of the rest of those are from previous events that the county has submitted for in previous years. So I would have to defer to finance to see where we are with those projects.
Okay. Finance, are you on the call? I think we had the director and deputy listed. Director?
I'm here. Yes, you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
go
so
ahead.
the item 2 that you're looking at, as Mr. Smith indicated, it does have the previous disasters, some from the first one from 2016, 2018, 2020, 2021, and then of course the wildfires. These are all, the reason why we're tracking this is because we need it for our single audit. So they're deemed to be grants, if you will. So the one thing I think that's important to note here is that when it shows total expenses incurred, so that's the first column after federal disaster number on the number item 2, you'll see that those numbers are identical to total obligated. That's only because that's what was deemed to be eligible by FEMA. That's the only thing we know. In other words, Public Works or other departments probably very well, they may or may not have submitted higher amounts. Maybe there's $5 million of expenses incurred, but FEMA just deemed the $3 million, say the first line item, $3,974,439. They just deemed that to be eligible by FEMA. So I think that's important to understand is that may not be the total amount that was incurred in expenses, but we wouldn't know that. Finance would not know that necessarily from a standpoint of FEMA, because we're only booking or tracking what is what we need from a single audit from a grant standpoint. So that's the only thing I should mention there. And of course, the total obligated, total expenses incurred are going to be the same number. As you can see, they're the same totals. Then the total reimbursed is of course what we've actually received. And then you see the receivable, which is a total of $22,368,871. The major piece of that, of course, is from the wildfires, the $15,532,575. And then the aging, if you will, is on under question 4, and you can see that there's some that's still $1,383,604 still is greater than or rather less than 180 days, and then the over 20 million is greater than 180 days, and most of that relates to the wildfire.
Okay. So before you leave that, then you're saying that from previous disasters, on question number 2, the first item that you talked about, there's remaining receivable that we're expecting of $132,640.60. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then that is receivable over 180 days. So how do we collect it based upon your question number 4 response?
I wouldn't know the details of the logistics there. I'd have to consult with some others. I don't know how that works as far as who's the who deals with FEMA. I'm not quite sure.
Okay, Director.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Finance, for being here. So I think maybe it's worth explaining the process again. The wildfires in the same category as all of the rest of these disasters. Every one from 17 up to 22, 23. The process is the same in terms of the county has to submit for reimbursement to FEMA, but we do it through the state, through HIEMA. And so every one of those projects is in a different stage of approval or review from the county to the state to FEMA. And it's all based on the actual disaster. So that DR number that's on there, that's specific to the disaster. And then the general process takes several years, unfortunately, to get reimbursement. So you go out and you get the approval, first from FEMA, you submit all that paperwork Haima looks at it, they submit it again, they review it, they check it. You go out and then you go do the work once you get approval. Once you do the work, then you go back and resubmit again all that paperwork, and then you come into reimbursement. So that's a really fast way of explaining it. We can jump deeper into the details with Meredith. I mean, that's literally her job for us for the wildfire.
Okay.
Chair.
Member Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. Maybe I missed it, but would you mind explaining what the goal for this item, the purpose of taking up this item today so that I can, are we going back to 2016? Is that the purpose? Or?
No, we're supposed to talk about the wildfires, but the letter that you're looking at, if you pull up item number 2, I just wanted to go over question number 2 and question number 4 so that we would understand. But we can have the department just specifically only talk about the wildfire. We can bring up the rest later because it is total, cash flow for the county that is a concern.
I like having clear parameters of our discussion. That's great. And then specifically, as it relates to the fires, what are you hoping to understand?
To make sure that we're collecting the money and we understand as which is our responsibility for the county of Maui for checks and balances, that we are doing what we're supposed to do.
Yeah. I get our responsibility. I'm trying to understand what you're trying to accomplish with this item today.
So to educate all of us about where we are with the wildfire disaster, with FEMA money in this case, or federal dollars, or FEMA in this case, and to see where we are and the flow of cash. I am concerned because this is not like they sent us all this money and we are spending it as we go along and we have to wait for reimbursement. So I just want to understand the process. Okay. Tom, Member Cook.
It's not super clear, the questions, if you wanted it broken out the way that Director Smith is explaining, maybe the questions could have been asked differently or...
Okay, so we asked the questions from my committee, us, and it is before you. I don't see a problem because this is the first time I'm taking it up. And I would like all of us, including the community, to understand what we're doing responsibly with the federal dollars that we received in terms of helping the wildfire disaster recovery.
Okay, so maybe for a future meeting date, you can ask the kind of questions that Director Smith is recommending that we ask to get the answers to the questions that you're hoping
from the
help
other,
for the transparency for us and for the public.
Yeah.
I support that. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you. Member Cook.
Well, I appreciate the meeting. I have a list of questions that are relating to this. The
3 minutes.
the comprehensiveness of this, which is exceeding exactly the wildfires. I'm glad to see it because it basically is clarifying the time delay and the issues that we face. And when we have the opportunity for discussion, I'll ask my questions. Thank you.
Yeah, you can ask now. Go ahead.
Okay. How does the county finance the payments during this delay? Because some of them are substantial and they're unknown. When I say they're unknown, you have to calculate them all out and over a long period of time and keep track of them.
Yeah, these are budgeted and have been budgeted annually with county council every year. So you can go all the way back to 2016 and you can look, and those either were part of the 6-year CIP within the department or they became an emergency project that came and sought approval before the expense went out. So all of these were budgeted annually.
I guess I understand that. I'm looking at the perspective of, do you feel that this is going to be accumulative as we go along and grow? And that's where when we're doing the taxation and whether we're bonding it, paying out on a cash fund. It seems like a lot of money. Do we foresee any challenges in the future in being able to finance it?
Director.
No, I mean, it's a good question, and it's something we're paying close attention to, and something that we work with budget on regularly. So the ones we pay attention, the smaller projects, I would say the projects that are under $1 million or under, even 5 million, those are typically able to be absorbed into the department's budgets, just based on how those budgets work annually. But we work directly with budget on this constantly to make sure that we have the cash
Thanks.
to pay for the project.
So the nuts and bolts, are payments to suppliers and contractors ever delayed due to this? Or like, do we pay on a regular basis even though we haven't been reimbursed?
Yes.
And so have you noticed any price variation because of slow pay by the county, or is it pretty consistent?
Well, I'd have to, I don't want to speak for the departments, but for the work that recovery is doing, we haven't noticed a change.
Okay, my last question, does HAIMA charge a fee for their review? Do they take a piece of it, or that's just part of their project?
I'll let Meredith answer how that works.
So written into every federal grant, there are part of the funds are set aside for administrative costs. 7% of that goes to the state and 5% of that goes to the county for each grant.
Thank you very much. That's my questions.
Okay, thank you. Shirley, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay, so you did talk about, I think John or Meredith mentioned something about 40 million has been reimbursed and 36 million is still to be reimbursed. Projects coming up. Is that correct, John or Meredith?
We have 40 million that has been obligated to date, which FEMA has agreed to pay. However, we only have about 2 million of that actually paid by HAIMA so far. And so when it's obligated, the money transfers to the state and we wait for the state to work through their audit before they pay the county.
Okay, so when you're talking about a $40 million bill out there, we would have to advance from our cash flow, the vendors, the contractors, et cetera. And then after we've paid them, we apply for the reimbursement. Is that the order, the sequence?
Correct. This is a fully reimbursement program. There are no upfront payments from FEMA, so the county has and does need to pay all of those bills ahead of time.
Okay, so we're talking about 40 million to 70 million in cash flow, extra money that we need in the coffers in order to pay upfront and then later on get reimbursed. Where is that? How is that money identified? Where is it? John?
Yep, thank you for that question. So that's, earlier I said there were 12 different departments that had submitted projects. So that total sum is 40 million from all those projects. So each individual department fronts the money with their budget. So that's where the money comes from, and it depends on whether it's an enterprise fund or a general fund department. But all of that is work that was budgeted for 2 years ago now, and already, and oftentimes already paid. So we've done the work in a lot of these cases, and we are just seeking reimbursement. So it's money that we've already put out for the most part.
Right, but even though the cost is spread over 10 or 12 departments, I can't imagine 12, but anyway, the point is there are monies within each department that are essentially not needed. It's going to be reimbursed.
Chair.
Go ahead.
Yes, it will be reimbursed, and I would defer to like Leslie or Maria maybe on how that money makes its way back into the departments.
Okay, so Director Milner, or there you are. All right, I guess you want to take that question and then we'll move on after that. Go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. I will start, and if Deputy Director Zielinski has anything to add, I'm happy to do that. But Yes, we have to pay upfront and get reimbursed. And as Administrator Smith said, that process with FEMA can take 2 to 3 years. However, with CDBG-DR, that process is much faster. We're seeing that reimbursement, so we're not going to need to front $1.6 billion. I don't want anyone to be worried about that. But what I will say is when the money comes in, let's say the expenditure was in fiscal year 24 and we get the money in fiscal year 26, that becomes part of our carryover savings going forward because that's new revenue, that grant money. If it comes in the same year, like with CDBG-DR, that just becomes part of the program. It goes back to the program as we've discussed before. And we also have situations where if money was expended from the emergency fund, when it comes in, it goes back into the emergency fund. But we do need the funds in the fiscal year in which they are expended because we don't anticipate that reimbursement coming in for 2 to 3 years, at which point you will see it acknowledged in carryover savings. Thank you, Chair.
All right.
You know, if I can respond to
Yeah,
that.
go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. But my concern is that when we're putting together the budget, we try to have the departments have the most efficient budgets. But it's hard to do that when each one has sort of a cushion for their department. And the cushion consists of all the vacancies, number one, and all the projects that don't get done, and then the projects that they're waiting to be reimbursed. So that's a sizable amount of money that we're collecting. And then when the money comes back, you bring it to us for other projects as carryover savings, but they're really not carryover savings. So, you know, my concern is how those monies are labeled. They shouldn't be considered as free money. They're related to a particular project paid by a particular department. And when it's reimbursed, it's supposed to go back to that department for whatever projects they have at the very least, right?
Director.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Budget Chair. If it is expended from a special fund, so the highway fund, sewer fund, and we are reimbursed, it goes back into that fund. If it is expended from the general fund, it goes back into the general fund. It's not department specific if it is general funded project.
It's not department specific. So essentially you can spend that money however you want.
We can allocate it to allowable general fund projects or operating costs.
Okay. And that puts us at a disadvantage because then you get to spend it on a lot of projects that are not even included in the budget.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Budget Chair. No, we cannot spend it on anything that's not included in the budget. We would have to come to the council for appropriation.
No, what I mean, when you come back to the council, I mean, you had over 40 amendments last year. So when you come back to the council for an amendment, you take that money that was initially from, let's say, Public Works, and you put it back as a general fund money, and you can identify other projects that you would like to see done. And so that money is no longer related to where it came from, is what I'm saying. So, that becomes like extra money for the administration to spend on projects that have just come up or projects that, are pretty much administration projects.
Yeah. Oh.
Right? You get to choose how to spend that money, right?
No.
Thank you, Chair. No, I don't think I would phrase it that way. I think we spend it on county projects, and I think we work with the council to try and reallocate those funds. The administration does not unilaterally make any decisions, but I'm happy to have further discussions about this. Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I still have a lot of questions,
Yeah.
but,
Next
I'm
round.
over my time. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Member Paulton, followed by Member Johnson. Did you, oh, one, before we start, were you leaving? You want to have a question? You're done? Okay. Member Paulton?
Can we send a letter to the, whoever knows what the 12 departments are that fronted the money, about the projects and reimbursement status? Is anyone from HIEMA invited to this?
We didn't invite the state.
Can we write a letter to HIEMA to see where they are in the deep dive audit of DR 4724-HI? And I know we're focusing on the wildfire, but was any consultant hired for the 2021 March 8th and December 5th disaster? Or was that under the last administration? And so I don't know.
We can send a letter for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, and then, so my understanding is that in this last fiscal year, we budgeted for certain public assistance projects, and we didn't get reimbursed yet, except for like $2,136,174.80. And when the reimbursement comes, it'll go back into whatever pot that we fronted the money from. So I'm not sure what's the question that we're trying to find out in this committee today. I mean, it seems kind of straightforward. We don't know what, I mean, we seen the 12 projects in the last fiscal year. We approved them, right, Mr. Smith?
Okay, so what I'm trying to do is the director is going to talk about the Hawaii wildfire. So if you want to just narrow down your question to the Hawaii wildfire, and we can send your other questions forward for another meeting.
I mean, really, the only one to ask questions of is HIEMA, and they're not here because they're the ones doing the deep dive and, right?
Is that true? Go ahead.
So I think everybody's reading between the lines, and some things are stuck at HIEMA.
Yeah.
That's clear. We do have a letter drafted to HIEMA, and it's based on some new federal guidance that came out recently to help us move some of these reimbursements forward more quickly. So that hasn't gone out yet, but we will be sending that shortly to HIEMA.
And you'll CC us, the BFED?
Yes, we can. And we are currently arranging for myself or Josiah to go to Oahu to meet on this. So that's where we are. It is timely. I appreciate these questions. It's something that we're working hard on, but we are actively pursuing this to the extent of federal law.
And then the part that I don't understand is why Ms. Meredith said 40 million when only 17 million is on the paper.
So which line item are you on? I'm sorry.
Page 2, Hawaii wildfires, DR 4724-high, the top one, number 2. I thought she said 40 million, but it only says total obligated 17.6 and some change.
So the table here, it has expenses incurred and total obligated. I'm not sure exactly where these numbers came from, but one thing we do see is that FEMA will agree to pay for a project before all of those expenses are incurred. So we will see a higher obligated amount than incurred amount almost any day. So I would say that the 40 million is a more accurate number of where we stand with FEMA today. And then as we move through this process, you'll continually see that incurred increase, also hopefully for more of those obligations to increase as well. But that can speak to a little of the discrepancy there.
Okay, and do you know the 12 departments and the public assistance projects that they spent the money on? And could you get us that list?
I have a full report we can deliver to you, yes.
Okay. This came from finance.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, are you done?
Well, I heard the bell.
Okay, thank you. Member Johnson?
Thank you, Chair. Some of my questions have already been asked and answered, but I'm going to just ask Mr. Smith real quick, kind of step back a bit and talk about the process, working with FEMA, working with CBDGR and all those guys. How's it been going? Is there some kind of feedback that you could give us, like anything we can do as a council to help? Are you guys short-staffed? You mentioned that there's new federal guidelines. How does that happen for you guys when you're in the middle of the process and all of a sudden new federal guidelines come in? Does that jam you up? Does it, it sounded like you're ready to take that on, but I'm curious to how the process is going on your end and if there's something the council can help.
Well, first I'd want to thank council for being incredibly supportive in the resources that were entrusted to us to get this job done. And I really appreciate all these questions. Because of your support, we've been able to hire folks like Meredith and other consultants that have their finger on the pulse of both FEMA and HUD federally. And if you're watching the news, you can see how things are pretty dynamic right now federally. And so our consultants are watching that closely, and they're helping us navigate that with the state and with our federal agencies. So we feel like we are well positioned to pivot when federal guidelines change so that we can maximally benefit Maui County. And that's really what we're doing. So we can't change what happened, but we can do everything in our power to get reimbursed for what's available federally for those guidelines. And I think we're doing that, and it is definitely in part thanks to your support, council member. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Smith, for your work. I guess if I can just, lay it out on the table, as we got an upcoming budget here, it's just around the corner already. And are you guys ready for this next budget? Are you guys going to be coming in with big asks, or, are you prepared to take on, it seems to me like you just mentioned, a moving target? The process changes from feds all the time. Are you prepared for the upcoming budget? Like, are you planning for this?
Yes. The short answer is yes. I've already gone through recovery's budget with managing director and deputy managing director in terms of the ask for next year. And we feel like the support that we need is in that budget request, or will be.
Okay. That's good to hear. I'm on limited time, but I kind of want to follow up on the discussion about the report for this meeting in regards to departments and the projects. I'm curious of why you don't have that before. It would help me understand where you guys are if the projects was listed, and we could go over them and say, oh, how's that getting money back from FEMA for this project or that project? Because I don't have the list of projects in front of me, I'm just kind of a little bit in the dark on that, just mentioning. So my time's up, but I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, appreciate that. Councilmember Johnson, so that's where we'll go from this. But we wanted to start off with the Hawaii wildfire, and with the wildfire, our August 8th, 23 event, with all that money that came in. And I know that we all know that there were other disasters that we applied for, but this is the first time we're taking it up. So I was glad to get this letter from finance, because it tells us that there's money out there, and how do we get it, right? That's the thing, is the status. So thanks for your question. Member Uhajens?
Thank you, Chair. For right now, my questions have been asked and answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. So, Member Paulton, did you have a question?
I'm not sure if Member Sinensi had an opportunity.
Oh, I'm sorry. Member Sinensi,
I'll yield to him before I take my second.
Yeah, thank you very much. Member Sinensi.
Thank you, Member Paulton. And yeah, some of my questions were already answered, but I guess my question too would be about the HIEMA. So if the state is submitting all of these, those reimbursements will go through the state prior to reimburse the county? Is that the process?
Director.
Chair, thank you. Councilmember, yes, that's the process. For the FEMA work, for the, what they call public assistance, every project gets submitted through the state, through HIEMA. So it's an extra level of scrutiny on those projects, and it has to funnel that way. From
Okay,
us
and
to
then,
them, yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you for that. And then we don't have any anticipated date. You said the reimbursements will take years. We don't get annual updates or anything like that.
Well, we have the history of all these past disasters and how long that they've taken to reimburse. So we're saying years based on past performance for other disasters, and just generally the process. And I would also note that this is just not a Maui County issue. This happens all across the country, unfortunately, this way. So it really is it's kind of a FEMA process issue that we're stuck in the middle of, but we either go for it or we don't, and we're going for it. So we just know that it's going to be a years-long process to get our money back.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. That's the reality. Is it John Vieira, who's HIEMA still?
I'm not sure if John...
Oh, he's no longer? Okay, that's who I have in my directory. But anyway, so maybe for another meeting, if we need to get more detail with these questions, we can ask for somebody from HIEMA, because we didn't for today's meeting. Okay, let's see. Member Paulton?
Thank you. My question would be for, I think, Ms. Meredith from Tetra Tech. So 40 million is more accurate than the 17 million, but it says we got reimbursed like about 2.1 million so far.
That's
Could
correct.
you explain like how that one came back to us so fast? Was it like HIEMA did the deep dive, or it was super simple? Like what makes some of the monies come back, like the 2 million already, and some of them take longer? Is it stuck at HIEMA, or?
So we saw some early payments go through with HIEMA, and since then, HIEMA has changed their staff and their policy of how they'll be reviewing these projects. One other thing I want to note, and you can see this within the table on the sheet, is that HIEMA has been focusing on the COVID-19 because federally there's a law that requires that they close those projects first at this point. And so that has been a focus both for HIEMA and for FEMA over the last few months, and will continue to be as they wrap up those final projects. So I think we'll see an acceleration of payments as that concludes. We also know that HIEMA has dedicated more resources after many requests. So it's nice to see movement on their side too.
Oh, good.
And do we know where in HIEMA the staff changes occurred? Like, was it the top administrator?
Chair. No, Colonel Barros is still the administrator at HIEMA, but he had some staff changes, below him that process some of these grants. And I do think it's good that you asked this question in terms of like all of the disasters, because you get a sense of the backlog on their end as well. So we're dealing with the changes as it changes in FEMA, and so are they. And then as they have turnover, then they have to like almost start over again on some of these requests. So I agree with Meredith that once they get through the backlog from some of the older stuff that they have to get through, the COVID stuff, then they'll be more able to process the stuff that we have in right now, that 40 million plus hopefully the next 35.
So we're good on the COVID. We're not waiting for any reimbursement on that. does it make any difference who's in the federal administration? Was that 2.1 paid before this administration came in, or no? Does it make any difference?
I do think it was mostly paid, but I don't think that makes a difference. We've actually seen quite an increase in FEMA pushing to pay and close these projects. The long-term recovery group we have from public assistance from FEMA, it's a newer group, is excellent in pushing both for getting new projects obligated and for closing previous projects. And they've even raised the questions to say, well, why haven't certain projects been paid yet? So I know we have great partnership there from the federal side as well.
The long-term recovery group that you reference is different than the whole Ola Ya Maui Nui Akama? It's a citizen group or county workers?
It's the FEMA group. So it's the group from FEMA that stays here on site for the next few years to walk through those final processes of the remaining obligations and just getting these projects through and paid. So this is a federal group.
Federal workers?
Yes, all FEMA federal workers.
That are here?
Yes.
Like Veronica Verde or not those guys?
They're newer than we've had but came from other projects. So they're not new to FEMA, but new to this project. So different than we've had for the last 2 years.
Not Auntie Maka is not part of that. She is part of the long-term recovery.
Go ahead, Director.
Sure. That's a good question too, and thanks for, just to explain how it works. So when FEMA comes in right after the disaster, they bring teams of people, but those teams of people, we know that they're gonna leave. Like, they're just here to get this thing up and running. So for the past couple of years, we had those teams here and we've been working with them. Now we have what they call a long-term recovery group, meaning FEMA does, not a community assistance group or a nonprofit. These people work for Region 9 of FEMA, and they are stationed on Maui to close this thing out with us. So I think that model's better, meaning like we don't have to go to California. They are here on Maui, so it's a small dedicated group to work on this particular disaster, and that's who Meredith is referencing. So we think because that's set up now and that's how it's working, and we are getting some things unclogged, that this will move faster, but we don't think it's gonna move like months faster. It's still a years-long process.
Oh, very good.
Hope that helps.
So in your next meeting, you're gonna invite somebody from Haima and then follow up on the other 4 disasters where we're waiting. I mean, does it matter if some of the amounts from like 2016 and 2018 are kind of manini in comparison? Are we gonna focus on the last 2 in 2021, or how do you propose to move forward on this?
So I would like to know, I mean, I really would like to collect all the money, because we upfronted the payments. And some of these are old, but for today's, we're talking about the Hawaii wildfire, but for future, we can, dig into the others just to see where it is. I mean, there were different staff at this time. At that time, we didn't have the Office of Recovery, or neither do we have somebody like Meredith, which I think is very helpful. And I'm sure what you're doing in terms of building relationships, this is my assessment. I wonder what the other members may think, that it probably helps with old claims that we're waiting money to come in. I would imagine that they have, you've established communication. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, I think developing these relationships with our federal and state partners is my job.
Yes, yes.
And we are doing that. And it does matter. Like, if you can pick up the phone and call the person, and it helps if they're on Maui, but even if they're just on Oahu, just to jump on a plane and go over and talk to them, it does help. So yeah, the relationship part of it is real. It works the same way in the federal government as it does in all the rest of our lives.
Okay, so based upon what Member Paulton is asking, then is it correct then you can help with collection of these other older claims? We just need to work through the department and you Or how would you like us to approach this?
Yeah, so the Office of Recovery has taken on the wildfire, and we haven't engaged with the older ones yet. And those still technically fall under HIEMA and the department that submitted, so those are working together there. But because we have this list and we have this relationship, it's fairly easy to make inquiries on behalf of the departments for things like this. And I just happen to have worked on most of the flooding and landslide things.
When you're with Public
So
Works?
I'm pretty familiar with what is outstanding there. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
very good.
Chair, Ms. Meredith said that she had a list of the 12 departments and the different projects for the wildfires in future meetings on the outstanding amounts. Can you request when and if that comes up for the departments that are owed money and the projects that are still outstanding for the next time it comes up, and if HIEMA comes, so that when you take it up, we have the information of what departments, what specific projects, and where it is in the HIEMA process.
Very good. You got that. Okay, so we will do that. But thank you. I can see where there's so much value in terms of these relationships. When I pull up FEMA in my phone contacts, I mean, just a whole bunch of people pop up, who have come and gone, who have helped us from August 8th, 2023 till today. And Bob Fenton, is he still there? He's still there. Oh, good.
Yes.
Oh, he's so awesome.
Chair?
Yes. Chair Lee.
Yes. Okay, I have a question for Bob or Meredith. You mentioned that the state's charge for admin is 7%. What's that in dollars? And the 5% for Tetra Tech, what's that in dollars?
Director.
So for each specific disaster, based off of the total amount of claims per that disaster. So it's, when I send the report to you all, that will be noted on there for what we anticipate for that management cost for each of these, each department specifically. We have that detailed out. But we would have to see an overall for HIEMA, that's very hard to say, because that's not just the county, but every entity, every private nonprofit that had a claim, 7% of all that is well for them.
Okay, so you have no idea what the dollar amount is projected to be?
Not at this time, but we can research that for you if you'd like.
Okay, you can add that question. Got
Yeah,
it.
that would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else may have a question? Okay, so members, I'm going to do this. Thank you very much. I wanted to look at this because we know that it's an ongoing reality for us to have these federal dollars. Thank you very much for administering it and educating us on the process. We will send Member Paulton's questions forward, as well as we'll have another meeting and invite HIEMA to also help us. And hopefully by then we could sort of focus on closing out, some of the old stuff and helping you in any way that you may need with existing. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. And we'll make sure to copy you on the letter that we send to HIEMA that's coming out probably next week.
Okay.
And that'll help organize the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I was thinking that your office would be the main contact for a lot of these claims, but you're not. You're only focusing on the wildfire primarily.
We're focusing on the wildfire and we're focusing on the CDBG-DR, the HUD money too.
The 1.6?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so do you want to tell us more about that, or?
I'm happy to talk about whatever you would like.
Oh,
in
no,
terms
but
of-
you can give us a summary of that and then we could move on. We can
Sure.
close this item.
So everything we've talked about this morning has been FEMA related, and The other
Is
branch, I would say, of Office of Recovery is the CDBG-DR group. And we've presented on that here in the past, and happy to come back anytime you'd like to give updates. I sent out an update to council, I think it was last week, on CDBG-DR. But basically, that program works quite a bit differently. And the overview of that is that the 1.6 billion comes from HUD directly to the county. So there is no HYEMA involvement, there's no state involvement. So it's much cleaner because there's no middleman between us and the federal government. So we work directly with HUD on that grant. So we work with California and we work with Washington, D.C. directly. And that's who manages those grants. Those grants are given to disaster communities. The grant that we received was part of a larger 12-point-something billion package that was passed last year through Congress. And it's directly to the county, and then we get to set it up and then run it. And right now, we are still on the ramping up phase. We've launched 3 programs. We have a reconstruction program, we have a new home buyer program, and we have a reimbursement program. Those 3 programs are off and running, and we are in the middle of a program to rebuild houses for folks that lost their homes. So those are the first 3 or 4 things that are happening with that program. We'll come back and give an update on that in as much detail as you'd like, and we'll be sending monthly updates to county council so that you can track the progress.
Oh, very good.
Of that program. So that's just the general gist of it. But I do think it's worth noting in terms of reimbursement that program doesn't work at all like this FEMA program works. That program has a set aside of funds that HUD does control, and it's technically a reimbursement program, but it's like within 2 days. So we don't have to like have the money and hold on to it for years, and then it doesn't work like that. We spend and we get pre-approval before we spend, and then we just submit and they reimburse directly back to the county.
That's fabulous.
So it's working already much, much better. So we don't have to float $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay. All right, members, thank you very much for your excellence. Really appreciate this. And I had a bunch of questions, but it sounds like you've answered many of it. And as I said, I was concerned about cash flow, that perspective in terms of cash flow. So I think you have answered as best as you can. And just for understanding that HYEMA has a big control over the reimbursement, and you're working on that. So anybody else have any questions? If not, then I'm going to defer this item and with your permission, and I'll bring it back with a broader perspective. So thank you very much for that. Yeah. It's exciting to have the first-time home buyers program. Yeah. All right, so I'm going to now take a break till 10:30, members. Is that okay? Then we'll change over to OED, the second item. Thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody. Welcome back to the Budget Finance Economic Development Committee. It is now 10:31. And the next item on the agenda is regarding the Office of Economic Development. And it is BFED 2012A, Administration and Management of Grants. And as you know, on October the 2nd, I think it was, we did hear from the Office of Economic Development. And at that point, we were waiting for the final report. So you gave us a whole rundown of the, process, the procedures, the review of whatever it would take to apply for a grant. And, but today I wanted to go into your final report. So thank you very much. I think it was Jillian, you prepared the final report, and we received it on October the 9th. It is on Granicus, and it is number 9 on Granicus. And the final letter that we received from the department is in Granicus number 13. So you can look at that. So this time I'm gonna introduce Chief of Staff. Is that your title for today? Or is it Director? Okay, title, Chief of Staff. Office of Economic Development, you wanna introduce your presenters.
Wonderful, thank you. Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Committee. Today we have Ms. Jillian Ugolino, who is one of our grants team leads. We also have Ms. Maria Ornelas here, who manages grants really out of the mayor's office, different than OED. But just in case you have any of those questions, she's here as well. And Carrie DeCoit is on her way on a delayed flight from Mokulele. So. We're here to answer any questions that you might have regarding any of the information that is included on the grants report card, or any other data points you want to chat about. Thanks for having us.
Okay, Jillian, you want to say any comments regarding your report?
Thank you, Chair. So this report card is just for all grants that was executed for FY25. There is some that says NA. It's just some of it is, they're still turning in their final report. So that's why there's a lot of NAs, and we're just working with them to close out. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, and Maria Ornelas, would you like to say a few words? No? Okay. And nobody else. So, okay. So unfortunately, Carrie is on her way here. I think she might, I don't know if she'll make it for this meeting because you and Chair Lee have at 11:30. So we'll probably be done by then. We'll try to be done by then. So at this time, do we have any public testimony from anybody? I think we have people signed up.
Chair, just before announcing the testifiers, staff does see Carrie DeCoit online as a connected online.
I don't see her. Okay, Carrie DeCoit. Oh, you made it. Would you like to say any? You're in transit. Any opening words regarding this?
Good morning, council members. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm on my way. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna be a little late, but thank you for having us and making the time. And we're just here to answer any questions or any follow-ups you folks might have in regards to the.
Okay, thank you very much. And we're used to people flying in from Molokai. So sorry about your delay, and I hope you make it you can stay longer for a meeting rather than just a few minutes. All right, so now we have any testifiers?
Chair, we have one person signed up to testify on this item. That would be Susie Thiemann.
Oh, nice to see you here. Good morning.
Good morning, Budget Chair Sugimura, council members. I'm here today, well, let me put it officially on the record. I'm Susie Thiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific. And I would like to comment on an issue that appears to be becoming a potentially ongoing problem, fiscal sponsorship and what that means. As a practicing fiscal sponsor, We are not looking for new clients, as we are just about at capacity, so this is not a sales pitch. I want to put that on the table. It's an offer to help the county clarify the scope of work of a fiscal sponsor that may or may not be responsible for, and make any changes that will allow their various grant programs to work for everyone. Over the past few months, we've been approached to take over fiscal sponsorship for 3 projects that were struggling with their current fiscal sponsors. I've also been hearing about other grants with other departments that have had to be extended or canceled, reassigned to different fiscal sponsors because their relationship with their current fiscal sponsors were not working. 8 years ago, we were asked by a council member to become a fiscal sponsor for Aloha Festivals, as the organization who had been their fiscal sponsor was going out of business. We checked in with the folks who do the National Fiscal Sponsor Directory to find out just what being a fiscal sponsor meant. It was most interesting to find out that there are several different types of fiscal sponsors, and what they do differs for their clients. We studied each one and decided on the one that best fits our organizational structure, experiences, and capabilities. We then accepted our first client, and for 7 years, we served as their fiscal sponsor for a variety of their programs and events. The success of working with this client was recognized late last year when they became their own 501c3, and again earlier this year when they were awarded the $1.5 million grant to bring back the Maui County Fair at the request of the mayor. Since that first client in 2017, we have managed almost $14 million in grants with more than 50 clients, with some clients having multiple grants. While we have worked with grants both large and small, and for year-long projects, annual events, and festivals, and to help startup businesses, our guiding measure is always that the purpose of the organization we are serving matches with our mission. For almost 55 years, Lokahi Pacific has dedicated itself to a big vision. That's improving the quality of life, both economically and socially, for the residents of the County of Maui. Now, referencing back to the fiscal sponsor directory, if you were to look up the list of many fiscal sponsors throughout the country, you would see that we're currently the only fiscal sponsor named as being active in the County of Maui. What does that mean? It means that we continue to update the information and data on an annual... Can I continue, please?
Yeah, could you wrap it up?
Couple minutes?
Yeah, well.
Okay, well, as
wrap it
fast as
up.
I can. Thank
We'll
you.
ask you questions.
It means we continue to update the information and data on an annual basis so they can see that we are living up to our originally proposed programs, types, and growing. I do not know how the County of Maui, OED, or other departments decide who can serve as a fiscal sponsor, but knowing the experience, the type of fiscal sponsor they identify as, could be the difference in their ability to help a new or any organization provide the quality of an event or product the grant was issued to do. The biggest misconception is one that the fiscal sponsor acts as a bank to front the money to pay the expenses associated with the grant and then get reimbursed with the terms of the grant. Fiscal sponsors are not banks. There is nothing written in their contracts with their clients pertaining to lending money to pay the cost and expenses, and that is why it is so important that grants to fiscal sponsors need to allow for upfront advances. Whether it is a series of quarterly advances for a year-long project or an upfront 90% payment with a pre-approved payout, documents to where we are looking at several grants that have been approved for funding in 2025, but no documents have been forwarded to start the grant period. I think something got missed.
Okay.
A page. Anyway, let me finish.
Yeah.
I'll wrap it up. I would like to repeat my offer to help the county make the changes that will allow the grant programs to work for everyone. Maui County used to be the envy of every county in Hawaii, with the wonderful work being done by the nonprofits and the tremendous savings to the county through these programs. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and hope that going forward we can resolve these issues to get back to helping our County of Maui communities grow and flourish.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, members, I let her go over. We have, well, we'll see what happens. Go ahead. Member Cook,
Could we ask if she would be
a resource.
a resource person due to her expertise?
Is that all right, members? Yeah, okay, yes.
Okay.
That's one question. Anybody else have any questions for Ms. Thiemann? Chair Lee does. Wait one moment.
Susie, you said these issues, what issues are you talking about? Can you just state for the record, like the top 3 problems that we have?
I basically don't know the full details because I was not privy to who these other fiscal sponsors are. But it appears to be that they don't understand their role and in trying to help some of the startups that have asked for help. The programs are being taken over by the fiscal sponsor rather than it being their program being monitored and managed to make sure it is done according to the grant documents. Some of the other issues that they've run into that I am aware of are missed dates for reporting, so that they don't, in the past, they've been able to get advances. They don't get those advances with their quarterly reports because their quarterly reports aren't turned in on time, things like that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So you have agreed to stay on as a resource, okay?
Yeah.
So you want to sit over here?
Wherever.
You can sit down.
Right in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other testifiers?
Chair, the last person we have signed up to testify is the individual logged in as the Royal House of Hawaii.
Aloha. Aloha, this is the Royal House of Hawaii. I'm speaking before you all today as an allodial land tenant, holder, and heir under Kekahuna Anahana, Heva Heva, Nui, and what is that called? So this is about disasters made by the county. I saw the agenda. I don't know. Is that the correct one? I guess.
We're on the second item. We closed for that first item, disasters that you're referencing.
Oh, can I just say a testimony for like all of it, I guess, or whatever, being on everything, or no can?
I'm not sure what you're saying. Could you ask your question again?
You can only testify on the second item because we took testimony on all items up front, and the first item is POW. So only now is the second item open for testimony.
Oh, okay. Under Rule 7 something of Rules of the Council, the committee intends to discuss matters relating to the administration and management of grants under the Office of Economic Development, including policies, procedures, and other related matters. Yeah.
Good job. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'll be speaking on that then, and so the policies and procedures and stuff like that. Is there, or actually, wait. So we know that all of the lands are frauded, and we're just waiting for the descendants to return. So will there be a fund for frauding all the royal patented lands that cannot be bought, and were all the heirs and the descendants of the royal patented lands contacted? Because I wasn't contacted. Many others weren't also. And also, and who's managing all of this too? Because it should be going to the descendants of the royal patents and allodial titles that cannot be bought, that were illegally bought, and all of that. Yeah, and please fund the royal patent descendants, because they're the ones that own that land and supersede anybody and is the full authority and the one who governs that land. And yeah.
Thank you.
Where's our fund? Where's our grant? I like one grant.
Thank you. Anyone have questions for the testifier? See none. All right. Any other testifiers?
Chair, there's currently no one else signed up to testify on item BFED 2012, so we'll do a last call. If there is anyone else who'd like to testify on this item, please identify yourself now. On Teams, you can do that by raising your hand. We'll do a countdown. 3, 2, 1. Chair, there is no one else to testify on this item.
Okay. Thank you very much. So members, the report again is item number, what did I say? Item number 13 is on number 9, and the letter from the department is item number 13.
Chair?
So 9 and 13, yes.
Apologies, just staff just wants to clarify if testimony should be closed at this time.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Please close public testimony. All right, thank you. And we'll receive written testimony. Thank you. Okay, so today we're looking at the final report that was created for the last fiscal year's grants. And the letter that we sent out, which is item number 13, has questions regarding this report in detail. But I will take questions from the members, 3 minutes each, regarding their report. Member Paulton.
Thank you. Before I started my questions, I just wanted to say I love the formatting. It's very clear. There's nothing blurry. It's very legible. Good job on that, guys. Only constructive criticism I would say is if the headers could be continued on the next paper so that we know what the numbers and things represent as you go down, but minor. And then before we get into the questions, if we could have some opening comments on what this represents. So my understanding is it's not this budget that we're working on now, it's reporting from last fiscal year's budget. I guess the question I have is, if, like, say, number 3, Aha Kukui o Molokai, it says the award was $30,000, but the payment as of July 3rd was only $18,912, but it's closed. Is it they didn't use the full amount? And then, like, the one under it, it says 20,000 is the balance, so they didn't draw any of the money. And at what point are they prohibited from drawing the money? And then there's some where only portions of the money is drawn, but it's not closed. So if we could just get a rundown of that information that we're being presented, that would be helpful to my cause.
Who would answer that? Is that Jillian?
Thank you for the question, Councilmember. So, correct, for those that are referencing closed, but there is a balance that is unused funds that is returned to the general fund. For those that are ongoing, as of that 7/3/25, that could mean that the grant either was executed late in the fiscal year, so sometime right before the as of payment, in which case it's an open ongoing grant, so we keep the fund open until it expires in the performance period. And then we have some with ongoing balance because the performance period is ongoing, or we're working with them to close out the grant.
Okay, thank you. And then this data set is from 5 months ago because the payments and balances as of July 3rd, 2025. So is there any update from the last 5 months? Like, are there more of them closed out or?
Yeah, every day our grant portfolio changes, we close, we open. So there is an update. We just have this as a starting working spreadsheet from that date because we know it'll be requested from budget. So we do have updated numbers. We just haven't updated the total master spreadsheet, just an updated count of the open grants.
Okay, and then, Chair, was it only your intention to go over the fiscal year 25 budget and not the fiscal year 26 budget? Like, is there a spreadsheet like this for fiscal year 26? No.
Oh, not unless you did a new spreadsheet? I don't have it. No, yeah. Okay, this is just for last year.
Oh, just
Go
for
ahead.
last?
Typically, we report on the entire fiscal year at the close of the fiscal year. So we won't have another updated 3.36 report card until the end of fiscal year 26.
Yeah.
Is when we can have a more accurate count of what's been closed, what's been happening throughout the year.
And so at the end of fiscal year 2026, do we anticipate all of fiscal year 2025 to be closed out?
That is the hope and dream.
And
Yes.
so then at that time, we'll have a redone one of this with all the updated numbers as well?
If you would like one, historically, we've only ever done one at the end of each year. And then each specialist who's assigned to each grant keeps track of the ongoing balance for the ones that they're assigned to. But if you want to request us to a complete one, we can.
I guess, I mean, it would help, like, to get the last 2 years, how it closed out, like 23 and 24, when we're doing the 25, or 24 and 25, when we're doing the 26, or, you know, on and on, so that, you know, if they're consistently low performers, us as council members can talk to the grantees, like, oh, it says you had 4 grants and you're slow to respond, and that's an issue, and with our limited money, we want to give it to folks that got like high scores or something. But if we're always behind the situation when we're distributing the money in the upcoming grant, it's hard to, as they're coming to us to say, hey, we need money for this in the future, show them their own report card over the last 2, 3, 4 years and say, you know, I'm not sure with the limited amount that I'm allocating that this is a wise investment, because as the department or whomever works with you guys, you consistently score 0 in records reporting or meeting community needs or whatever it is. So that information going into budget might be helpful to us to not make line items to folks that consistently have trouble drawing down the funds, because then it's just taxation without going to a
Worthy cause.
entity.
Yes, we can get that information to you, and we appreciate you trying to support us in getting grantees who are fiscally responsible. So yes, we can get you the information for the last 3 fiscal years. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Thank you very much, member.
And in this nice format, which is super legible and not at all blurry.
Which we're asking that requirement when we start going into the next fiscal year, by the way. But we'll request that, the documents for you as we're ready for it. Yeah, okay, very good. So next we have Shirley. You have any questions regarding this? Then Member Johnson, Member Cook, Member Nohe Uuhajens.
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, Member Johnson.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try to be quick because I have a lot of notes before my questions, but I'll just say grants management has been a real nightmare, not just with OED, but with other departments. What we're hearing is the reimbursement process changed, but the administration didn't set up organizations and nonprofits for success by sending out the new guidelines. Organizations have been coming to me and asking about this process. They're totally confused. Hearing that money is being held up as organizations catch up with new guidelines, that they are learning about them midstream, and not just in OED, but for some grantees, they're waiting for 150,000 and 190,000, and employees are so some of those folks are going to lay off some of their employees and put them on unemployment. The management of grants have been an Achilles heel for this administration and has affected hundreds of people. Nonprofits do the work the government is unable to do, and we should be bending over backwards instead of giving them a hard time and treating them with dignity and trust. I think we should treat our grantees as partners and with respect. And I think moving the goalposts mid-budget is really hard for them. the reimbursements have been delayed and denied. And I think that, I'm wondering what the impetus is. Why has it been so hard for our nonprofits to get this money? And is there, I guess my question is what, are you concerned about fraud and abuse, or why is it so hard for these folks to get this money? If it is fraud or abuse, how many fraud cases did we catch in the past year? How many abuses have we caught in the past year? Because I don't see this being a very fluid and smooth process. And I'm getting that from nonprofits and grantees. It's not me just making up. People are coming to us talking about it. So if you guys want to respond to that, I mean, what are you trying to catch with this fraud and abuse concerns, or is it something else that I'm not hearing?
Is it Chief of Staff? Or who wants to answer this?
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson, for your concerns. And I would echo that in relationship to being a good partner and being user-friendly. And you have heard me multiple times talk about this. This is it's a huge challenge to partner with the county when you are a nonprofit, especially when you are not a big nonprofit and have capital, right? It's a huge issue. And I will tell you that it's not, we need to remember that the OED team or the Department of Ag grants team or anyone else in relationship to grants management does not act on this alone. We are supported and collaborated with Corporation Counsel as well as finance. And we can only do what they will authorize and allow. So it is the grant manager's function to pull together a package that will not get kicked back, that will go through for a reimbursement or go through for an advancement. But there is definitely some concerns about fraud, waste, and abuse in relationship to grants and managing public funds. And Councilmember, I believe that is why we are seeing, as you said, the goalpost moving. I will also let you know that grantees in relationship to their agreements and what they sign and all of those kinds of things. I know that Carrie and Jillian can talk about terms and conditions and handbooks and everything that's lined out. But again, yeah, we would echo your concern.
Well, my time's up. I heard the bell. I'm going to just, wait for second round. But I will say that this is in this administration's house. It hasn't been, the prior administration didn't have this issue with the issuing the grants and all that. It just seems this administration is going about it this way. And some of these nonprofits have been serving us for many years. But I'll wait for second round for that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Member Johnson. Member Cook.
I'd like to ask Susie about the banking part. And I'm really glad, thank you for having this meeting. I'm really glad to be able to meet with all of you so that I can learn, get a better perspective of how it works, get a better picture of what the county needs and requires, and then how the mechanics of it work. Because I've also heard complaints, but I think generally the complaints is poor communication. And as I've been educated, the county has really strict criteria, public funds. I mean, this is just what it is. It's not as flexible and pliable as some people like. So my question is about the banking aspect of it, the capital and that, and just if anybody else could weigh in. Thank you, Chair.
Is that Ms. Thiemann?
Are we on?
Yes. We can hear
Can everybody hear that? Okay. I think there's two sides to this. One is as a fiscal sponsor, we do not finance any projects. We manage the money between the county and the client or the grantee, not grantee, but client and their project. It's a means by which they know, or the county knows, there's another layer there in case this organization who's got this project going is new, maybe small, minimal experience. There's another layer of support there and management for this. There is nowhere in the fiscal sponsor programs where we act as a bank. If that were the case 8 years ago, I would have said no to the program. Because we're Lokahi, yeah, we've been around for 55 years, but we don't have deep pockets. And I can't take money that I need to take care of the people in our apartments and our housing and so forth to do fiscal sponsor work for other people as much as I might want to. So if we don't have advances programmed into the grant for these different programs, it's a real problem. And we did have one occasion where the grant contract came out to me with the agreement that we had made of 5 advances. And at the last minute, well, I signed it and sent it back. But then when they returned the packet to me, they said I needed to sign again because page 2 had been changed. And I looked at page 2 and all the advances disappeared except for the first one. And so when I called to ask for an explanation, they said, well, but you still have in the actual contract piece that goes with the grant that the officer in charge can allow for additional advances as needed or as requested or as approved by that person. And so we thought, okay, this makes sense because they understand this is a fiscal sponsor situation and this is how it works. We have not had any advances that we've requested of whoever the officer in charge is allowed this last year. When this administration took over, we had our own grant, the Feral Animal Access, or the Access Deer Grant for fencing. We were halfway through that when this administration took over. And what the process had been at the beginning for that, under the old administration, was we would turn in the quotes from the approved applications we had, and we would be given the funds to hold until the projects were finished. And then we'd write the check to the vendors. Nothing goes to the to the grant, the client. But we would hold that money until the project was finished, and then we would pay the actual vendors on their bills, and that was working beautifully. But the new administration came in and said, absolutely not, we're not doing that anymore. You now have to pay these and we will reimburse you. We're sitting there with about $800,000 left on this grant. I can't pay that up front. And so I said, I've got to have some help. And they said, well, do what you can. And I, what do you mean do what I can? The grants were like for up to $30,000 per farmer. And I said, I can maybe advance one at a time. It's going to take us an extra year to do this one at a time. If when we turn in for reimbursement, we're reimbursed right away, we can pay the next one. And it just keeps rolling that same 30,000. It started delaying the reimbursements so that we weren't able to do one a month even. It became one every 6 weeks or so. I mean, it was just a nightmare. And we had hoped that new grants going out, we could count on that procedure with the officer in charge and that the allocations would be coming. I think we had proven ourselves. We've been doing this, as I said earlier, 8 years we've been doing grants, and $14 million later, I don't know, are we not to be trusted?
Well, thank you for that. I guess for clarity, can the departments kind of clarify some of the challenges and changes to do that? And is there any mechanisms to address that?
Yeah, thank you, Council Member. I know that our friends from Finance, Marcy Martin, I think, is online. She may be able to provide some anao in relationship to this. Marcy, are you there?
Hello.
Hi.
Yes.
Thanks, Marcy. Did you hear the question?
I did, but can you repeat it?
Hi, Ms. Martin. The question is the issue of the banking or the payments up front, so that when the grantor or grantee has performed, that this physical sponsor can pay promptly and not have to front the money.
Well, so the Department of Finance must operate within the confines of the Maui County Code. And also, we must operate within the terms and conditions of county grants and contracts. So we follow the terms and conditions of the contract. Grant forwarding money, advancing money comes with an inherent risk. So in order for the county to agree to forward money, we must contract that in. We must solidify that agreement and be upfront about what the expectations are. And on the earlier item, when we were talking about the FEMA grants, for example, the county isn't given money up front for those. It's all based upon, reimbursement. So generally that is the way that grants operate. We do afford advancements, but it's, upon request and consideration of the entity and what their needs are and their resources.
Thank you for that answer. It sounds like there's a big disconnect, though, for the small grants and the procedures of something like FEMA and reimbursement versus these smaller grants. And in the past, apparently, there was a mechanism to work. Did a rule or a law change, or did people just recognize that maybe it wasn't being done correctly in the past?
Do the departments want to, okay. I'm going to let you go over time just because I think this is all in coherence. Go ahead, Maria.
Thank you, Chair, if I may. Just want to, maybe history-wise, I think OED, Office of Economic Development, we're kind of lenient on enforcing the general terms and conditions or the grant agreement. And then fast forward, Finance and Corporation Council, like they said, have to go according to the Maui County Code, terms and condition, and we haven't. So they've put a belt to us, or I don't want to say a figure of speech, but you get it, right? So that's where we are today. So we're looking like the bad guys trying to enforce the general terms and condition when the grantees were used to being very, treated lightlier than now. So that's my 2 cents.
May I ask one question, Chair?
Yeah.
Is a legislative solution? I mean, is there something that the council can do to create or clarify rules to enable this, to kind of bridge this gap?
Councilmember Cook, are you asking me about legislation?
I'm asking.
I can introduce.
I'm actually.
Thank you, Councilmember Cook, and thank you, Maria.
My bank of resources.
Let me just jump in here. In relationship to, if you remember the last time we were in front of you, we talked about some working groups. And actually, Budget Director Milner is online and can probably speak to this as she's working with both Corporation Council and Finance. That's her working group, but we have several. In relationship to policy and legislation, right now I have a listing of about 20 policy changes that we are suggesting. But because we're looking at this county-wide, we don't want to make one change or one suggestion in OED. We want to do it holistically. So folks like Susie and her grantees that are working with her get continuity and consistency from one program to the next. So you can imagine, that's hurting cats, but we're looking at doing that, and we're really pressed to get these policies in motion because they have budget implications, right? Where money is going to sit, what department, what division, those kinds of things. So we're pressed to do that. But Ms. Milner, do you have anything to add to that?
Thank you, Chair. I think I would just add, I think we talked about a couple things in the last meeting. We are looking at a code change to allow for the quarterly disbursements, as that's not currently in there. There are a couple other things we're looking at, but I would just echo what Director Martin said. You know, one of the reasons these things are in place is we do need to make sure we have those fiscal controls, because the county does give out a lot of grants. And if we front all that money and we don't get it back, that puts us in a really bad position. And we do, you know, Lokahi Pacific has been an amazing grantee. I'm not going to say they haven't, but we have to treat all of our grantees the same. So they have to abide by the terms and conditions that if we give you an upfront disbursement, you have to provide the receipts for that within 30 days. So I think that may be part of the hang up with that ag grant as well, or the Access Deer grant, because we can't just give you the money and then you hold on to it for an undeterminate period of time. That's not how our general terms and conditions work. So those are the kind of things we're working through, and we do work on some on a grant to grant basis, but we're really taking an overall look at the county grants program right now and trying to come up with a way to make life easier, not only for our grantees, but for our county grants managers. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so this is going on long, but Susie wants to answer, and then we'll to finish this, and then we can go to Nohe and Member Senensi. I'm sorry, Member Hodgins and Member Senensi.
Is Susie going to answer that?
Yes. Would you like to, Susie?
Did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just have one question. You talked about working groups that are working on solutions. Have any of those of us who are on the other side, the recipients of the grants, been invited to any of those meetings to just explain what the effect is on us and our clients? I never got an invitation, but then I only do so many grants. Maybe there's larger people, maybe there's smaller groups. But I think it would be helpful if you're going to have a group that's going to talk about solutions. Everybody should come to the table, not just one side.
Okay, Chief of Staff.
Yeah, Susie, thank you for that suggestion. And one of the things that we need to make sure that's in place is that we are legal and that it's okay with finance before we can open up that working group, Susie, that you're talking about in relationship to the grantees, right? We want to make sure that we're managing expectations. If we can't do it for some reason, then we should talk about why we can't and make sure that we're managing the expectations, right, within the framework that we have for the county, if that makes sense. But yes, we are absolutely planning on pulling together that grantee group and getting their feedback on it. So thank you for that. And Susie, that was your idea some time ago. So
yes.
Thank you for that. Yes, I appreciate it. Yes, we took your suggestion. So thank you for that.
Okay, can you send a letter about this so that grantees or grantors, I guess grantors will not get forgotten. Member Hodgins.
Thank you.
And
So
Member Senensi.
to understand where this working group is, it's currently just within the administration. You guys have already proposed some things, and then you guys are going to open it up to the people who have grants, the grantees. And did I hear that you say you have 25 things you think you may change now? 20, okay. Do you mind giving us a heads up on what they are and telling us the timeline, because budget season is around the corner, so.
Yes, thank you for that comment. So if you remember in the slide deck when we were here last time, it's under considerations.
Okay.
So we've taken those considerations and we've created policy and some legal terms around that. So that's what they are. That's the heads up. Yeah.
Sounds good. We're talking a lot about advancements. I heard that in the contract, there's sometimes some wiggle room for some advancements. Can you give us reasons why you guys would approve or disapprove somebody's advancement?
Thank you for the question, Councilmember. Well, in some instances, let me start from the beginning. So we can approve a one-time advancement.
One time.
Yes, to the code. Given that there are provided quotes on what the expenditures will be, because as you know, they do need to provide us the expenditure receipts within 30 days of receiving the advancement. So in the event that the grantee can't produce quotes or any type of justification as to why they need the money up front, in those times we will deny the advancement request. There has been instances where there are very short periods or events within a grant, with like a 3-month time period where they need more than 25%, where we are very strict on making sure we have the justification and the quotes that meet the timeline within their schedule. So those are just some instances.
Okay, thank you. Earlier today, we heard about, the county and the other department we were talking about, and HUD, and how it's nice to have a 2-day reimbursement. And county has pockets that a lot of small businesses don't have. How can we help expedite the reimbursement process for our grants that really are struggling to make it on a day-to-day?
Thank you
Is
for the
that part of your
question.
guys' considerations?
I think that one is a hard question to address. Just to echo what we've been talking about today, we have so many moving parts. So we're just one part of the function. We can provide the guidelines, the recommendations, step-by-steps on how you can give me a complete reimbursement packet. But once it leaves my review and moves on to the next department for review, it's up to that department based on staff, right, time, workload, on how long they'll take to review.
Okay.
And at which point it could come back to us for additional supporting documents, and then we need to then reach out to the grantee for the documents, and it begins the whole timeline again.
Okay.
So we are doing our best to try and do what we can from the OED perspective to help our grantees.
Thank you. This next question is going to be for Chief of Staff, because I don't see DEM here. Yeah, they're not online. Okay, so in DEM's letter dated November 5th, they said there are 30 grants still open from the previous year, 2025, all of which we anticipate dispersing the the reimbursements for. But it continues to go that the funds were dispersed without reports or proof of payment. The lack of administrative guidance review support resulted in a delay of formal grant executions and confusion to the grants. This is for EPNS.
Okay.
And I know that that was new for them, but what can we do to help them in that situation so they're not put in a space? Because I don't disagree, we have to be careful with our public's money, but that's a scary sentence.
So in relationship to supporting EPNS or
Sure.
supporting the grantees?
Both, I guess.
Yeah. So as a matter of fact, actually Maria could answer this, I think, really well, but I'll let her add to it. Maria has just been over to EPNS a couple of times, and we have reached out to see if we can provide some additional support and bandwidth for them, and what exactly it is that they need, whether that be with the grantees or with the
I know they had a couple people leave recently.
with the
so they're quite
department.
short-staffed.
Correct. Yes, they are very short-staffed. Go ahead, Maria.
Thank you, Uhu Hodgins, for that question. Yes, I did have a meeting with the new grants manager.
Yeah.
And he's just 2 months into it. So, and as you know, most of my grants went transferred to them. So I was just wanted to touch base, seeing how they needed help. And so being that he's 2 months into it, this is what he's trying to clean up what had happened with the staff leaving.
Yeah.
So he's got a lot to clean up, and being that he's new as well, so more so if you could give him time to adjust all those wrinkles that came with the job. So
Can I ask a follow-up question, Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think we should leave those grants in EPNS, or should we entertain them moving back to OED?
I'm gonna jump in here. Thank you for that question. It's a really great question. So in relationship to Office of Economic Development, last fiscal year, Budget Director Milner and I took a look at all of the listing that was in OED, and we did some trading with other departments, because we have things in economic development that are not truly economic development.
Okay.
So it it diversifies your focus, right? And we really need a strong focus in economy. And so in relationship to the grants and EPNS, I think they are where they need to be, but I think that we need to bolster the support there for certain.
Okay, thank you. I have more questions on our second
Okay.
round. Thanks.
Very good. Member
So,
Senency.
Chair,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt, it's Leslie.
Oh. Director Milner.
I just wanted to add one more thing, if I may, to the discussion. That is something we've been discussing. We have a working group as well made up of grants managers and writers from across the county. And we are discussing training opportunities for those folks, both on county policies and procedures, as well as more general grant management information. So I've been having discussions with our countywide grant manager, Claudine Perry, about maybe bringing in a trainer for the wider grants management, and then also finding internal resources to do those policies and procedures. It's something we're hoping to tape so that as new folks are onboarded, there's a video they can watch to help them learn the procedures, and they don't have to wait until the next course offering. So I just wanted to let the council know about that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so you're working on it. Member Sinensi.
Mahalo, Chair, and mahalo, Mr. Lalo, for being here and answering all of our questions. I've heard a lot of your questions and answers already, just some follow-up questions. Is the department still doing grant trainings in the different districts? Prior to the I guess the opening of the grants, the opening date of grants.
Okay, who's going to answer? Go ahead, Jillian.
Thank you, Councilmember Sinensi. So we do have a working draft that is our timeline that is going to be happening for fiscal year 27. So in January, we're going to set out a press release for our workshops. So in the whole month of February, we will be having workshops for Maui, 2 to 3 sessions. And on Molokai, we'll have 3 sessions. And in Lanai, we'll have another session. And anyone who couldn't make it in person for any of these islands, we will do a virtual overflow. And then we will... Oh, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
No. And then I was just going to continue of when we're going to open our rounds. But yeah, so that's when we're going to have our workshops in the whole month of February. And we'll be training everyone on our grants handbook and our guidelines.
Okay, thank you for that. And then I know that oftentimes our office will get after that submittal date, our office will receive a call from your office maybe and saying, hey, it's these guys that you provide funding for did not submit their grants. And so I know that was kind of helpful for some of those nonprofits that are again, the smaller, or they don't have very experienced or new people within their organizations. So I thought that was very helpful. For those during our budget sessions that we proviso, is that an automatic, okay, you're gonna get the funding? Because I've done that, and then I've got calls that, well, we're provisoed in the budget, but we were denied. So what is the process there?
Thank you, member, council member. Even if you're provisoed, you need to go through the application process. So folks need to submit an application through the portal, through submittables to the Office of Economic Development. We take a look at that proposal. All funded proposals need to score a 70% or greater. If you are a line item and you don't score a 70%, if it's not a strong proposal, then we go back to that grantee and we work with them and try to get it up to a 70%.
If it's not at 70%, then they'll get the denial letter?
No, in short, no. Thank you for the question. It's not 70%. We'll work with them to try and improve the application to get it to where it needs to be. However, a denial can go out if the grantee that is line item is not compliant. So that's primarily the reason we would deny a line item or proviso is the compliance.
Meaning he or she is asking for too much money. Sorry.
Is that one?
Sorry, what was that? Can you please repeat that?
If they had requested more than what was proviso, that would be a denial.
No, not necessarily. We would just communicate to the grantee that they're either only allocated a certain amount, or if there's overflow in our other competitive pots, we will see if we have additional funding to fund the event or accommodate their request. It just depends.
Maybe you could help him describe what not in compliance means. Like, how would they get in compliance?
Okay, so compliance, when you apply for a grant, you need required documentation, which includes a Hawaii Compliance Express vendor compliance, which shows that you're compliant with your IRS, taxes, GE, all of those things. In addition to that, you need to turn in a DCCA, a W-9, a corporate resolution if you are having other people sign for you, and bylaws for organization. And then COI is not required at the time of application, but it is required before we can issue notice to proceed. And a 12-month profit and loss.
COI is certificate of insurance?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, I want to just add that to help the process move along within our department, we are enforcing that provisos apply by a certain deadline. And I think this will also help with Member Paulton, how she would like a full report, right? If we're able to get all the applications in by a certain deadline, we can get a performance period that's more in tune with the fiscal year. And it would allow us to not be doing so many report cards throughout the year. Thank you.
I'm going to add one more thing here, council member. I'm so sorry. But one of the things that happens is when things are line itemed, you have a specific intent when you line item them. And sometimes what happens is those applications come in and we're like, that's not the way I remember it. So we may reach out to you and say, hey, is this what you intended, right? Since it is your line item. So we're going to add some additional information in relationship to line iteming things, so we are crystal clear on what your intent is as the council member for residency area things or line items or all of that. So that's our last ad.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Chair.
So for my question, I know the last time you presented before us, you went through every single segment of how to apply for a grant and the different things that you were doing, which is in Granicus on this item. A concern that I'm hearing is what Susie Thiemann is talking about in terms of being the fiscal sponsor. So there's some disconnects that are going on. And I know that the council, because of Lokahi Pacific's, I guess their reputation of helping different nonprofits. I think it was Chair Lee who put in the budget X amount of dollars so that Lokahi Pacific can take on as fiscal sponsors for smaller nonprofits that may be having, trouble by not doing grants all the time. But there's a disconnect, because I hear you saying that we're going to give you advance, but it has to be spent in 30 days. And she's saying it's impossible to spend things for I'm only familiar with the Access Deer grant because of supplies not coming in or whatever. So there is something that's not happening and causing frustrations, as well as I'm hearing from people who have applied for the grant saying that things changed, kind of like what was said earlier, and the rules change and they now have to submit this kind of document, that kind of document. And then when I did talk to somebody from administration, they said, well, you don't want us to do anything illegal. I want to say, no, we're not saying we want you to do anything illegal, but we want you to manage. And I'm hearing mismanagement over here. And I want Susie or Lokahi Pacific to still help those smaller nonprofits or smaller organizations. And of course, one of them is that Keokea Ho'olaulea group, right? That we gave that $25,000 grant, and they stumbled through not, but I didn't ask Susie to take on that, process, and they want to do it themselves. So is it part of the 20 or so policy changes that is going to come out that will clear this up? Because it's not something we can wait much longer. I think in August, when I spoke to you, you said, I remember you had a son or somebody going graduate from Peace Corps. Congratulations. So that's what month is that?
I don't even remember.
Oh, okay. I think it was August. I was waiting for some kind of feedback then, and we sent a letter requesting for the policy changes, because I think what we're seeing is, because this administration is changing things and the grantees are having to comply with it, we just need to be clear. And, another thing, this is not only OED, because EPNS, we have MISC, whose contract is now delayed with I think it's RCUH, that their grant is with. And there's confusion going on, and I think their employees have been furloughed until this money part can get resolved. And I think it's County of Maui is causing the problem. Do you know about that?
I know a little bit about that.
Okay.
And I don't want to speak out of turn, but really quickly, I would just say, so in relationship to the reimbursement or the advancement and the 30 days, I actually spoke with our friends in internal controls and said, does it need to be 30 days? Could it be 45? Could it be 60? Because it's almost impossible to gather receipts. I mean, in my world anyway. And so they were fine with that. It just needs to be standardized. It needs to be the same for everybody, of course, right? In relationship to the small grants that we're talking about, really, as you know, looking at pushing forward a micro grant, which means that the application process would be more simple, right? And the whole process would be simpler. So that would help pave the way for some of those smaller grantees that we were talking about. And in relationship to MISC, I don't have the information, and I also know that it's not on the agenda, but I would be happy to gather that in its entirety for you. Yeah.
Okay, so I've been hearing about this micro grants for months, or periodically. So either do it or don't do it, And the advancement problem that I've been hearing, or what's Lokahi Pacific is talking about, it sounds like it's something that we need to resolve, especially with the amount of work that we ask Lokahi or MEO, kind of our, lot of these nonprofits that are bigger, we ask them to help these other, nonprofits. So can you send us a list of your 20 policy changes that you're looking at? Who is on the grant, what are you calling it? The workshop group that you're working with, the working group? And as well as, okay, we're gonna send you a letter so you can answer it. You don't have to answer it now, because I think you wanna leave at 11:30 and it's 11:34. Related questions to that. So if any of the members have any questions that you want us to send to OED to find out what what we can look forward to ahead, so that so we can be more efficient. Yes, Member Cook.
It sounds like the definition of a fiscal sponsor would be helpful if the departments would sort of engage in that. It sounds like you need a grant summit to get, and really all people at the table, possibly informally, just to sort of get some of the challenges, and then be able to address the legality aspect of it. Because if you're going to go through the legality lens to start, it seems like it just filters on a lot of the issues. And anyway, thanks for having this meeting. I really appreciate everything you're doing for me, and I think most people. The intent is to help you. The intent is to facilitate and assist. And even though there's like people who stressed out and I can't do this even though I wanted to, and people saying I really need this, I can't do it without that. Let's all come together. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Very much. I was having a side conversation. So did I miss something that we need to follow up on from what you said?
I was just complimenting everybody.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Member Paulton, then I see Member Johnson.
Thank you. So I had a chance to do a deeper dive into this. Number 10, the comments says project completed, grant closed, but it doesn't have a closed in the balance. So that would be closed, right? Number 10? Biniat Ani?
Yes, it's closed.
And then number 17, it got a 0 in responsiveness and records reporting, but the comment says grantee was timely with reports and required minimal help with reimbursements. So that seems conflicting on number 17 that they were given zeros, but then the remark says they were timely with reports and required minimal help with reimbursements.
Sorry, what number was that?
Number 17, Friends of Old Maui High School.
So sorry. It's possible it's just a clerical error and the grant specialist updated the remarks and not the
Points.
points. Yes.
Okay, because they got like 30% on. And then, let's see. The other question I had was number 92 and 101. It looks like 350,000 was requested, 350,000 was paid out, but there's a balance of 972.23.
Maui Dance Council.
Number 9.
I should check on that. It could be closed out, and that's all they requested for. So that 972 will go back to the general funds.
Okay, but it looks like they requested 350,000. They were awarded 350,000.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
A balance of 972.
So there has to be a clerical issue. I will make note of that.
Okay. And then number 101, Maui High School Foundation, it says $5,000 was requested, $5,000 was paid, and there's a balance of $5,000. Is that also a clerical error?
Is.
Huh?
It is.
Oh, so it should be closed.
It should say 0. Yeah, it should be closed.
Okay. And then number 109, where it says missing reports, ongoing grants, but they got like a high score on records and reporting of 4.
So for this one, it is, it's still an ongoing grant. So they haven't requested for any reimbursements, but they have turned in reporting. So I do have to, yeah, so it's just, yeah, so it's really missing the final.
What number is that?
109.
Nakoa Maui Conservation, Inc.
Nakoa Manu.
Oh, Manu.
Okay. So, but basically all of these ones, like MEDB, Wailuku Film Festival, they received a 13%, 4 out of like 5, 10, 25 or something. Number 98. The end of the period, is it going to be June 30th, 2025? Because that's the end of the fiscal year. It looked like some said the end of the calendar year, like number 108.
We have some grants that start upon execution of the grant for a period of 12 months, and we have some grants that start at a future date. And every grant we have, the goes for 12 months still. Yeah, it's just whatever is stipulated within their executed grant agreement.
So like, if they didn't get their application in right at the start of the fiscal year, then the execution would be from later on in the fiscal year, but it couldn't be past June 30th of 2025 that it begins?
So you can apply prior to the fiscal year starting, but your grant performance period can't begin until it's fully executed with the County of Maui, and that's when it will begin. So
For 12 months.
nothing will begin on the fiscal year, July 1st, because it takes time for it to route and execute. If you want or need a future date, like far past the time you apply and it gets executed, that can be worked out with us if you communicate. So let's say you apply in March when it opens, but you don't need it to the following year, March. We'll work with you to get a future date so that your funds, you're able to spend it appropriately when you need it, so it doesn't lapse at the end.
Okay, and this document is the totality of OED grants for the fiscal year that was budgeted in the fiscal year 2025.
It's a complete report of all executed grants for fiscal year 25.
So the not executed grants, where would we find those?
In our office. We don't have a reporting to give on non-executed grants, right? Not an official report.
Okay, under your signature, can we get a listing of the non-executed grants for the same periods that they were gonna give? Because I mean, if it were non-executed, why would we keep putting money in the budget for them, right?
Okay, so we can send that letter.
Thank you. Agree. Thank you.
I'm gonna switch over to Gabe. I'm sorry, Gabe has his hand
Okay,
up, too.
so, but we're asking for, before the upcoming fiscal year 26 budget, like the last three
years.
things without the clerical errors, and as well as the listing of non-executed grants for the same period, so that we have a better picture as we go into this coming budget cycle of not trying to waste money or waste taxes for money that doesn't get put out there.
Okay, got it. Member Johnson, sorry to keep you waiting.
It's fine. It's a very important discussion we're having, Chair. And first off, I want to apologize to Ms. Thielman for all the work she's been doing and to be having to go through these hurdles and struggling the way it should be. We should be her partner. We should be totally working side by side with the important work that she does. I know, the deer fencing is a good example, and thank you, Euclid, for bringing it up. The deer don't care about what score the nonprofit has. They just know that there's a fence, and the farmer cares about that fence so that they can grow crop. These are all connected. And if it's our bureaucracy, if it's our fear of getting frauded that is putting us in this conundrum, then that's on us. And I look forward to the administration coming up with those, was it 10 or 20 policy changes? I'm here for it. If you got it, let's hear it.
Yeah, we should start.
If you don't do it, then I'm gonna try to suggest some policy changes, because I'm bothered by this. This is not a good way to treat our nonprofits. I guess my question is where is this fraud? Maybe Corporation Counsel has it. Do you have a amount of folks who've been caught up in this fraud? Or maybe the administration, or who's been frauding us? Is there big numbers here? Or is it just, let's hear from Corp Counsel.
Let's hear, yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, you turned it off. Yeah, there's the green light.
Thank you. I'm not sure if fraud is the right word, but there is, we have to be really careful not to gift county funds. So it's trying to find that balance of support and reduced risk to the county. So I think that's what everyone's trying to do. And this is such a good opportunity with next budget to try and, move the needle on it. It's already been a lot done. But I think that could be another request you could add to the letter.
Okay, Chair, if you'll allow it, I'm curious. If there's a few bad actors in our system, then there's a few bad actors, and there's laws that will go and get them. I always use the example, if someone steals a loaf of bread from the grocery store, you don't close the grocery store. There's this money needs to go out and then help our community. I'm really disappointed. I feel it's damaging our community. I have a bill. I think the administration is sitting on it to kind of look at how we can fix the way we're moving money to our nonprofits. I see Director Martin turn her camera on. Director Martin, if you want to speak to this, I'm really concerned that this money is not going, and I think an advancements could be super critical to this. And I know my time is limited. So Director Martin, what do you think about the
Director.
advancements and, being in touch with our community?
Well, Chair, thank you. We appreciate the good work that the nonprofits do. And finance has been working very hard with the grant managers and the departments to facilitate the process. However, it is very important that we have internal controls in place. And that's because our good credit depends on it. And our revenue sources are also counting on the county to have best practices in place and to use money wisely. So it is a balance, and we are all working very hard to maintain that balance. And I think that some of the frustrations that you're hearing about have already, been worked on, and processes have already been improved. But it is a process, and it's going to take us a while. But please know that, we're just trying to maintain a balance between making these programs sustainable, because, the fact that we have enough money to provide all of these grants should be credited to our best practices and our ability to protect our financial assets and to spend money wisely. So it's a program that we can provide relief, but in order to provide relief, we must employ best practices and internal controls. So it's just maintaining a balance, and we are working very hard at that. And I just appreciate all the work. There's so much good work has been done this past year with all of the departments and all of the grant managers and finance. And I'm just very proud of it. And I think that, right now you're focusing on some of the grants that have kind of fallen, to the side, but the bigger picture is of all the successful grants that we have. So the program has overall been successful this past year, and I give credit to everybody, the grantees and the county. So, but I just want to say, it's a balance, and our good credit is what provides us these resources.
Okay, Director, thank you. My time's up. I'm really feeling there's a disconnect here. I don't think it's in balance. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not really happy with the way it's going forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I know that, Chief of Staff, you have to leave. It's well past your 11:30, and I think Chair Lee has left too. So, members, we're going to send letters to the department. We have somebody from DEM. I guess is that William? He wanted to just talk about the missed grant, but that's okay. We'll take it up another time. Go ahead. Member Paulton. He left. Is he on? Oh, go ahead.
Your title header of this was just the administration and management of grants. And so the information that you're requesting from OED about the last 3 report cards, as well as the grants that weren't executed, can we also, this is just OED, can we also request that of like human concerns, DEM, all the departments that do give out grants, so we have a comprehensive picture. And then I thought I heard Ms. Lalo say that they have 20 recommendations, but under the consideration slide, there's only 14. And some of them, it seemed were already a policy of the 14 considerations. I think like shoot, I can't bring it up right now, but I guess, I mean, the 20 considerations, how close are we on each of the considerations to implementing the proposed policy?
Are you ready?
And then number 12, consider adding other sources of funding, cost share as an evaluation criteria. It looks like, would that not be the same as efforts to secure other funding, or that's something totally different?
Thank you for that question. It is different.
Oh, it's different, okay. And then the grant working group highlights that you're talking about is it just for OED, or is it for across the board, like how you're saying DEM, human concerns, and like that?
Yeah, we have one that's across the board, across all county departments, all grant writers and grant managers as well.
But it's not this one in your previous slide deck, it's different, or it's the same?
No, it's the same. It's a culmination of all of those working groups. There's a couple of different working groups going on. Yeah.
Okay, and you just added 6 more since the presentation?
6 more working groups or 6 more considerations? I'm sorry.
Considerations.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Between the presentation and now, those working groups continue to meet and continue to vet things out.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess a status update on the updated 6 consideration and where we are on implementing the 20 considerations.
So if you could give us an updated list, I guess is what we're hearing. We'll definitely bring this up, but I really would like you to forward the policies that are ready to, for us to look at, so that maybe we could, close some of these gaps, if that's what you're trying to get towards, and not wait till all your 20 are finalized. I'm not sure what you're,
Oh,
Okay.
sorry, Chair. And the non-executed ones, if there
Non-executed.
is any easy reason why, they didn't apply, they were not compliant, or whatever the reason may be, if there is.
Okay, so we got that. Yeah, okay. Okay, very
Thank
good.
you.
Appreciate, go ahead, Member Johnson.
Chair, just the last thing. I know we're wrapping up the meeting here, but I really am disappointed in the way these grants are going. There's people being laid off because they're not getting money. We all know we just went through a huge traumatic experience with the wildfires, and there's folks out there trying to help recover through nonprofits. We should not be adding the trauma on these folks with financial distresses that the administration seems to be thinking you're doing a good job. Please step out of your bubble and talk to the people out there on the streets who are waiting for funds from the county. It's mind-blowing to me that we're not bending over backwards to help people recover who are outside of the county and nonprofit sectors, that those are the folks who are doing the job. Should we go ask Director Jordan Molina to put up all that deer fencing? He's going to tell us he's at capacity. Public Works can't do it. Parks can't do it. So these folks are not only servicing our community, they're doing jobs that the county could or should be doing. I want to just end on this, that please go to the streets, talk to those folks, and hear what they're telling about our process. The people that are sending me emails are telling me they're hurting, they're stressed. They're going into partnership with the county is the last thing they want to do anymore because the process is so burdensome. That's real frustration for me. So I'm sorry. Please step out of your bubble and go talk to those folks that are doing the work that county could or should be doing. That's what I just wanted to know. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay. So at this time then, we're going to send letters to the department. We'll follow up with DEM. There was somebody who, I think his name is William from DEM, who was waiting to say an update on MISC, but we won't do that. He's off the line already. I share your frustrations because we hear it, we get emails, and then I forward it to whoever, but we should help everybody to be faster and better. I'm not too, sure where the delays are, and there is no way that we're trying to, take advantage of county resources, because that is our responsibility in total. So we hear you, and we'll get more information. So thank you very much. I'm gonna defer this item. It is now 11:56, and thank you, everyone.